Hey guys, got an exciting topic that I want to talk about today. I want to talk about looking at what is called reverse dieting. And this is something that you hear about more in kind of the aesthetics world or the bodybuilding world, where there's an extreme calorie reduction for most part leading up to a competition or to a show. And we see it more in the lifestyle clients, someone that maybe has a bunch of weight to lose and they're just on that calorie restrictive diet for 6, 8, maybe even a year at a time as far as being in low calorie. Okay. So I want to take a step back before I start talking about the protocol of the reverse diet and talk about what would be considered low calorie and some things that you would want to, look for to see if reverse dieting is something that it would be good for you. Okay. So remember, the term high and low is relative. We mention that all the time when we talk about low carb. So for some people, 150 grams of carbohydrate may be considered high, but for some people, 150 grams of carbohydrate may be considered low. So that term high and low, we have to look at as a relative term. But when we talk about reduced calorie diets, okay, let's go back to our resting metabolic rate. Our RMR is basically roughly 10 to 12 calories per pound. Okay, a lot of times what I'll tell someone to do is just take your body weight, put a 0 behind it, and then that's plus or minus 10 or 15%. So a good example of that, if you're 200 pounds, you would roughly burn 2,000 calories just existing, plus or minus that 10 or 15%. So that is kind of your resting metabolic rate. Where I would consider low calorie for that individual is when you spend time below that RMR. Okay, so if you're 200 pounds and you've been consuming 1,600 calories for an extended period of time, that is where you would probably come into needing to reverse diet. Okay, just give some more examples of that for calories. Let's say you're 150 pounds. Okay, maybe you've dropped down from 180 to 150 and you've been hitting 1,400, 1,300 calories maybe for 4 to 6 weeks. So your caloric load is lower than your RMR. Okay, and if you've been there for, like I said, 4 to 6 weeks or even longer, and you've kind of stalled out, not seeing the weight loss anymore, or just not feeling good in general, it is time to do a reverse diet plan. Okay, a reverse diet plan sounds, or is basically what it sounds like. What we're going to do is we're going to slowly work your calories up in order to increase that metabolic rate. Okay, because there is some research that shows when you consume less calories, yes, when you drop weight, you're going to lower your RMR just because you're losing tissue, but also the body just kind of slows itself. And you guys may have experienced this when you reduced your calories, like you just don't feel like doing a lot of different things, okay? And you don't realize it, but you're decreasing your caloric burn for the day because you're just not as active, okay? And you guys may have experienced this with just lower calorie. It's like, man, I don't even want to walk out and get the mail because I'm just kind of tired. So what happens is you don't spend as much energy that you normally would if the caloric load was higher, okay? Now, one little caveat here is if you're kind of new and you find this, a lot of times, a reverse diet may happen in the beginning of the program because someone's just not consuming enough protein, for example. So I may increase someone's calories when I first start working with them, secondary to they just aren't consuming enough protein. So I kind of keep their energy source, the carbohydrates and the fat, the same, and actually increase their protein, so it actually increases their overall calories, okay? Assuming that you're getting the right amount of protein in, okay, what we'd start doing is add about 200 calories every 2 weeks, okay? Now, you could do it every week if you want to, if you're seeing good results, but, once again, these are just kind of rules of thumb. But 200 calories every 2 weeks, okay? So if you were consuming 1,400 calories at the end of your diet or at the end of your cycle, and we were going to go back up, we would go from 1,400 to 1,600, okay? And then you can just pick either carbohydrates and or fats to get the 200 calories from. It really doesn't matter. I will say that if you found out that you had better success on a lower carb plan, so maybe you followed our 8-week cycle and you started seeing more fat loss towards the end of the cycle when the carbohydrates got down around 75, 50, things of that nature, what I would encourage is maybe to increase the fat first by a couple hundred calories before you add more carbohydrate in. So that first 2 weeks, the entire 200 calories may come from the fat source before adding more carbohydrate in, okay? But then definitely the next cycle or the next 2 weeks where you go up the 200 calories, you could add some carbohydrate in there, okay? Just for education purposes, remember that 1 gram of carbohydrate has 4 calories and 1 gram of fat has 9 calories. Okay, so you can just figure out the grammage that you want to choose because there's no right or wrong answer. Okay, and then what you're going to slowly do, and some people will still continue to lose weight when adding more calories in the reverse diet. So some people will still continue to lose, throughout this. Some people may maintain. But what you want to do is just continue to add that 200 calories a day until you're no longer maintaining, okay? And I'm not talking about a couple, just a fluctuation in the poundage or something like that, but you just want to slowly continue to add that 200 calories back until you get to a higher calorie diet to where you're maintaining. And for a lot of people, they can add 1,000 calories back in and maintain, okay? Because remember, your RMR, we talked about that being 10 calories per pound. Let's use that 150-pound person as an example. So they would burn 1,500 calories just existing at 150 pounds. Well, then you got to add daily activity and exercise into that. So the person that's 150 pounds may be burning 2,000 calories, 2,200 calories a day, okay? So, the goal there for that 150-pound person would be to slowly work the calories back up to where they're eating 2,200, 2,300 calories a day and maintaining, okay? And then if you're going to try, the goal is to maintain your weight, you could stick at the 2,300 calories, okay? But if your goal is to lose more weight, for some reason you didn't reach your, weight loss goal during your diet session or during your cycle or however long it took, that's when you could start the reduced calorie plan again. So, okay, I've been at 2,200 calories, I'm maintaining my weight, now I'm going to start, cutting back down. So then you could just go, once again, bring it back down. So, okay, I've been at 2,200 maintaining, now I'm going to go to 1,800, 1,600 and kind of work your way back down, okay? This is very important because we'll see it a lot of times, just if people have spent a lot of time in that lower calorie, okay? And I get a lot of people that come into our programs that haven't been eating enough in the past because traditionally we think that weight loss comes from low calorie. So I get a lot of people who literally, like, they've done 1,200 calorie diets multiple times in their life and they're doing 1,200 calories and are not producing results. And that's because the body, just gets used to whatever we're doing from a diet standpoint, okay? So it's common. I don't want to think you guys, don't get frustrated. It's like, man, I've seen really good results. I'm still hitting my same numbers that I was, and I'm not producing results. It could be that the body's just adapted, okay? A good time, just to kind of segue this into, and I harp on this a lot of times, like, make sure that your training that you're doing coincides with the diet that you're choosing, okay? So you hear me talk about a lot of this with if you're doing keto or extremely low carbohydrate, that doing high intensity training might not be the best training program to go along with that diet plan. So if you look at the perspective of, okay, when I reverse diet, what should I look at doing? If gaining muscle tissue and gaining strength is something that is a goal, that's something you want to do, this is a good time to kind of focus on that hypertrophy phase where you're lifting the weights, you're trying to put on some muscle tissue because you are giving your body the surplus of calories that it needs, to gain that muscle tissue, okay? So that would be a good way to coincide a good 6 to 8 week strength training program into your overall scheme and long-term success. So just a little caveat to kind of end this session on reverse dieting. I want you guys to think about also the training that comes along with that, okay? As always, guys, on this topic or other topics, if you have specific questions, you're welcome to message me here on Facebook, or you can send me an email at jeremy@getmacro.com. I'll be more than happy to answer your guys' questions. Remember, over in my Black Sheep blog, I am programming workouts now daily. So I was going from weekly to now I do that on a daily post. So if you're looking for just something to follow in the exercise world, you're more than welcome to head over there and follow along. Take care, guys, and I'll talk to you soon.